Batman number 8, written by Scott Snyder, art by Greg Capullo. This is part 1 of the Night of the Owls crossover event, whatever you want to call it. It is pretty much completely separated from that until we get to the backup story, which I didn't realize this was separated into a backup story, but we'll get there when we get there. So this issue picks up with Bruce Wayne looking over his little model city Gotham that I guess he has built in the manor, and he's just ruminating over the fact of how he thought he knew Gotham so very, very well, and it turns out that he knew absolutely nothing at all about it. And Alfred comes in and flips on what I can only guess are some holograms of all the buildings that Bruce was planning on building throughout Gotham. And he's like, turn off the lights, it hurts my eyes. And he's like, no, Bruce, you need to be able to see. And he's like, I can see how awful I've done to this city. I've been focusing on all the wrong things. And he's like, okay, yeah, that, but also you have an eye injury and you actually need to see. So they just talk for a little bit about how Bruce doesn't feel like he's done enough. He focused on all the wrong things, and now the owls have taken whatever from him. And Alfred's like, then do better. Like, you're not dead. You just do better. And as they're talking, they hear a thump in the house, and immediately alarm bells going off. Bruce runs down to... Actually, I guess Alfred runs down to the Batcave. Bruce runs up to see where the thump came from. And wouldn't you know it, there's Talons in the house. So what proceeds is just a long-ass fight scene of them saying, Bruce Wayne, the Court of Owls has sentenced you to die. And Bruce is wearing his contact lens thing so that he can see things that Alfred's putting up for him. And he also has a earpiece for Alfred as well. And as the Talon bashes through the window, Bruce just grabs a part of the mantle and smashes it over his head. And then we see that it's not just the one Talon. There are a dozen Talons here, and all of them are here to fight Bruce. And if I have to have one mild complaint, just to interrupt the flow, this really falls down to I want to say I've always seen it in Power Rangers, but I'm sure it's used in other things, where you have a bad guy who is impossible to beat, and it takes everything you have to beat him. But then once you beat him, you can take on 12 of them, no problem. And it's really though? Really? Just a mild complaint. So regardless, Alfred's trying to help out, saying oh, Master Wayne, I'll help you down here. There's so many of them though. And then Alfred turns around and sees that there's a Talon coming into the Batcave, and he's like, oh my god, Bruce Wayne is Batman? What? So after a second, Alfred goes quiet, he's not answering Bruce's calls, and he's like, oh crap, I need to get down to Alfred. So he leaps out a window, gets on top of the roof. There are Talons chasing him the whole time. He pins one of them down to the roof with a weather vane, through the chest. So he's really taking that they're technically not dead thing to the maximum. And then he presses a button on a chimney, jumps down into it, and then it seals up behind him. And I guess the chimney just goes the whole way down to the Batcave. And as he gets his way in there, he sees the Talon in there, and he's like, well, Bruce Wayne, you have quite the secret. Oh, well, it's time for you to die. And then the giant penny in the Batcave falls over and, crushes the Talon. And we see that Alfred's the one who pushed it over. And he's like, sir, your lucky penny is here. Bruce gets a chuckle out of that. So did I liked it. And they pull off the mask of the Talon, and it's a guy saying, oh, we've got more Talons than you can handle, but you're going to find out soon. And he's like, all right, I'll find out even sooner. And he snaps the arm of the Talon to break off the gauntlet he was wearing. And then as the Talon starts swooping into the Batcave, both him and Alfred make their way into the bunker, I guess you'd call it. I think it's technically the armory, but it has a giant steel door. And they seal themselves inside. And Alfred's like, what are we gonna do, man? And Bruce basically tells him, look, there's a little itty-bitty tiny microchip inside of their gauntlet. I want you to load it up and see what they got on it. Meanwhile, drop the temperature down in the cave to sub-zero temperatures, because we know that the cold deals with them pretty nicely, and then I'm going to go out and take care of them. And he's like, what do you mean you're going to go... You barely fought one of them. And he's like, yeah, but now I've got... They had the element of surprise or whatever. Now I've got it. And as their Talons are trying to kick open the door, and they're doing a pretty good job, actually, we see the doors open up, and inside is a giant mech Batman, a power suit, basically. And it's just Bruce standing there saying, get the hell out of my house. And that's where the issue ends, with the promise of more fight. Now, you may notice that didn't really set up a crossover event. That was its own thing. That just is a story happening in the Batcave. So, let's talk about what's on that microchip in the backup story here, written by Scott Snyder and James Tynion IV, art by Raphael Albuquerque. Batman is in the armor. He's facing down all the Talons, and it's just a standoff. Like, they don't actually want to forward the story here. But Alfred is in the cave with the computer. He plugged in the microchip, and up pops a list of names. All these names of people who work with the city in some way, and I'm guessing don't play ball with the Court of Owls. And then we see it's a target list, and we just get page after page here of these people on this list. Betty Park, Michael D. Davis, basically a Supreme Court justice in Gotham, a city comptroller, a sheriff's deputy. Like, all these people are just being met all at the same time, being attacked by Talons and just being killed. And some of them put up a fight, some of them can't. But regardless, Alfred's like, oh my god, they're going to kill everybody. There's Commissioner Gordon's on this list, Mayor Hades on the list. They're going to kill all of them. And Batman tells him, hey, put out the call, tell the family, I need everyone in on this. So Alfred puts out a call to the entire family. We see Tim Drake, Jason Todd, Damian, Dick Grayson, Barbara Gordon, and the Birds of Prey. And I think Catwoman is a part of this as well. So, but yeah, they say, all right, attention all Bat allies. I'm uploading a list to your local computers or whatever. Find somebody who is on this list and go protect them, because the Court of Owls is going to kill them. Okay, cool, great. And as he's saying this, there's just banging on the door because the Talons are still trying to get in to attack Alfred. But he ends up the call saying, good luck to you and God help us all. And that's it. That's how the issue as a whole ends. So for the main part of the story, I do really like it. Capullo, fantastic. I think that opening bit in terms of him looking over Gotham, like his little scale Gotham, being like, I have failed this city. It felt a little bit too on the nose to me, but honestly, it's earned it by this point. If it wants to do something like that, that's fine. Once it got into the actual fight, though, of him taking on the Talons, like I said, I had that little complaint of it being, why are they so easy to avoid now? Like, why are they able? Because it literally took his entire nearly life to beat just the one in that labyrinth. And I know it wasn't on his playing field, but still. That being said, I think that the fight scenes are very well done. I think that they are interesting to watch, and you see how Bruce manages to hold his own in a way of, he doesn't have all of his bat gadgets, so he's using the mansion to his advantage, and I do like that. The fact of this random-ass Talon just having a list of names and Bruce just happens to get it seems a little bit easy, but for the sake of setting up the event, I'll take it. It's fine. Overall, though, I think the coolest bit is, of course, the last page of just giant bat mech armor. Get the hell out of my house. That was, you could tell, that was the page that they spent the entire time working on, because it's just that cool of a moment. As for the backup, art style is a little bit jarring to see separated out, especially because in this trade, there is no delineation of where the one ends and the other starts. So it's a little bit jarring, but it is still a solid art style, a bit heavier on the inks. I do like it. I think that maybe, because it is, actually 4 full pages of just the Court of Owls going around killing people. And, all of them are named, and all of them, it says what their job is. And it just, I don't know, it feels like that could have gotten across in just, this 2-page spread here, rather than another 2-page layout before then. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. I think they were just padding it a little bit, so it felt like, oh yeah, no, this is the part that's actually starting the event, so you need to read this part more. So yeah, it's fine. It's good. First part, I would go ahead and give a 7.5. Backup, I would go ahead and give a... It's too short to really say. It's going to sound harsh, but it's too short to really say. I think the fact that this speech that Alfred gives, spoiler alert, shows up in all of the other, tie-in comics. So it was well written enough that they wanted to reuse it over and over again. But it's too short to really give a proper score, so I'm just going to say that it's a 7, but that feels a little bit high to me. Just full transparency. But yeah, that is part one of the Night of the Owls, and of course, many, many tie-ins of all the families doing their own things, most of which happen in issue 9s. So we'll check out what happens with the rest of the family next month.